Members, it's been purported that this is about water, this is about a scenic river, when in fact that's not hardly the case. This is actually about a landfill. Not just a proposed landfill that would go through the normal processes of local approval, but about an existing landfill in this state, one that is permitted under state law. There's been a well-funded, well-organized, large group that has tried to do a number of things, including spot zoning, resolutions, and other local means to take a permitted property right away from a person in this state. They failed legally on each one. Now they bring this to you, asking that you take away the rights of this person without writing him a check. All of you swore an oath to the Constitution, and part of that is protecting our rights. That is a takings lawsuit in the making. Lucas versus South Carolina Coastal Council. The Supreme Court of the United States established whether a regulatory action constitutes a taking that requires compensation. The Beachfront Management Act passed by the state of South Carolina prevented anyone from erecting homes on properties due to the effects it would have on the public beach. A suit was filed after a citizen was prevented from developing lots purchased 2 years prior to the passage of that act, and the case made it all the way to the Supreme Court. The court ruled in favor of the property owner, as many of you would imagine. The state of South Carolina ultimately paid the property owner $850,000 in compensation for just these 2 lots. Many of you here, all of us, I would dare say, rely on the committee process to vet bills, to hear the truth, to know what's going on when it gets to the House floor. You know what it's been through. We also rely on truthful testimony, and we had a lot of testimony on this bill. The very first committee this came in, I smelled something because we were getting so many emails about this one bill, about a scenic river. Well, what could that do? So I asked the sponsor this question. Do you know of any property owners that will be affected by this bill that would have any opposition to it? The answer: there were some early opposition, early questions about the bill from agricultural people, and so on and so forth. And then the very last thing. So the answer in the short term is no. No. Meaning no property owners would be in opposition to this. And I know from what we've seen in testimony, what I've had since then, at least 2 property owners and possibly 3 are opposed to this. So members, this is not about scenic river. This is about weaponizing a law about scenic rivers that has one designation in it, and that is to prevent landfills, existing landfills or future landfills from existing in a certain range. That's what this is about. So I ask you to think long and hard of whether you're going to take away a person's rights under our law without compensating them. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Williams. I'm sorry, Chairman Speak, if you'd like to respond. I didn't even hear a question there, but you can respond.
Mr. Speaker and members, there was a lot to unpack in that accusation of the good people of Maury County, some of which are here today. To accuse members of my community coming up here and lying to the General Assembly is reprehensible for a representative to do that. Cannot believe that happened right here on the House floor, that accused my constituents of lying to members in testimony, Mr. Speaker. Members, let me unpack a couple things here that was accused of the good people of Maury County. Let's talk about takings, first of all. Let me explain this briefly. And I vowed all the time when I came up here I would never get into the well as an attorney, and unfortunately I'm forced to be an attorney today. Let me tell you what it does. We asked for an opinion from a law firm here in Nashville exactly what this would do. I'll read this, Mr. Speaker. You have asked that we review a letter from Toon, Entring, and White, public attorneys, dated February 27, 23, attorneys for remedial holdings. Those are the people that hold this landfill in Murray County right now. To the House Agriculture and Natural Resources Committee, they gave a letter which opines that the designation of additional portions of the Duck River, a Class 2 scenic river, is an almost total taking, which would result in a multi-million-dollar liability to the state of Tennessee. This statement is an oversimplification of the relevant legal precedents and, in our opinion, inaccurate. A taking occurs under United States Supreme Court jurisprudence only when a landowner is deprived of all economically productive and beneficial use of their property. This would certainly not be the case here. The designation as a Tennessee scenic river, as well as the current zoning of the affected property in Maury County, which happened in 2013, which is M2 or heavy industrial, will continue to allow for a wide variety of commercial and industrial uses. So you ask yourself, well, what is M2? This is everything that is permitted right now that this landowner can do. Manufacturing and assembly uses relating to the manufacture and assembly of transportation equipment, including aircraft, motor vehicles, boats, and rail transport equipment. We are becoming the #1 destination for automobile manufacturers in the country. This landowner could build a now multi-billion-dollar automobile manufacturing plant right here in Middle Tennessee. Manufacturing and processing industries generally, with the exception of those specifically or implication otherwise classified in Section 5063, which would be some other things that really don't fall under this one. Commercial, educational, research, and recreational facilities operated as an accessory use and auxiliary to the principal activity, brewery and craft industries, distillery, farm and winery. By no means at all are we taking all of the economic opportunities of this property, but that's assuming that this individual had that right to begin with. Members, in 2013, I was a member of the county commission in Maury County, and we passed a resolution prohibiting a landfill within 2 miles of the Duck River in 2013. After that, the landowner who owned the property came to the Maury County Commission and asked them to change that zoning ordinance. And the Maury County Commission said no, is because we have an obligation to protect that water source. In 2022, when this individual that the chairman brings up purchased the property, TDEC sent them a letter on what exactly their permit is for, exactly what they're permitted for. And number 7 on their permit, and I'll read it verbatim to you so you'll know here. It says number 7, property rights. Now this is the landfill that this owner just purchased. And here's what it says from TDEC. Property rights. This permit does not convey any property rights of any sort or any exclusive privilege. From TDEC. Maury County, with this scenic river designation, we're protecting a water source. And why are we protecting this water source? You may ask yourself. These are things that are undisputed about the Duck River. The Duck River is the most biodiverse river in the state, country, and 4th in the world. 200,000 Tennesseans and tourists use the Duck River for their recreational uses every year. We have multiple endangered species that occupy the Duck River. 350,000 Tennesseans and future Tennesseans depend on the Duck River for clean drinking water. Industry and businesses in Maury County and southern Middle Tennessee depend on the Duck River for clean water to operate their businesses. Agricultural businesses downstream depend on the Duck River for their livestock and row crop operations. And lastly, one of my colleagues from Shelby County mentioned it. Members, how many times do we sit here that Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, liberals, agriculture, and environmentalists all are fighting on the same side?